Hi, welcome to Powered by Joy podcast. I'm Erica and I will be your host. I'm speaking to those of you who are bored, stuck, angry. Maybe you have some pent up emotions that have been there so long you don't even feel like you have an outlet for. So, here we're going to be talking about feeling alive again, maybe even for the first time. And that depends, I guess, on your life experiences. So, we're going to be finding your joy and we're going to get empowered to create a life you truly want. And you're going to do that without sacrificing the commitment and passion that you have for your family and your friends. One question I get when I talk to family, friends, and people that have come to me for guidance. And that question is, how did you get started? And that is a pretty broad question, but I will tell you that for me, it was about my own quest for my own truth and what I felt was authentic for me and my own beliefs around my life. And this quest was questioning beliefs and concepts and ideas that I was taught growing up and trying to figure out what made sense to me and felt like aligned. So my suggestion for you is to stay curious, my friends. So anyways, when joining me for this podcast, there's going to be episodes that I'm going to ask you to let them just be a source of curiosity for you and hear it as coming from a friend or a mentor. You're not supposed to, or you're supposed to say not a doctor, psychologist, and legal advice or health advice. Maybe it'll just be considered entertainment sometimes, but hopefully you will find a way that it helps you on your own quest to find your own joy, passion, and find a way to feel empowered to make changes in your life so that you feel connected again. So my first piece of advice is that you should make curiosity and an open mind part of your main goal here when you join me about how I embraced that idea. So I'm trying to remember what year this was. I think it was 2010. Anyways, I had some life circumstances where I had gotten divorced, and there was a family friend of ours that had been in our lives for a while at that point, and he would share stories about things happening in the spiritual world, or seeing things or having contact with people who had passed away. And I was just like, that doesn't align with anything that I believe, because I was raised going to a Nazarene church, considered a Christian household. And so that sounded like something of the devil to me and made me very uncomfortable. But I also had this serious curiosity and fascination and wanted to hear more stories, but just wasn't sure how I felt about it. So I loved hearing his stories, but fast forward, and that winter of 2010, he passed away unexpectedly. And I remember that that night he had said, don't get distracted. We never know how much time we have together. That should have been one of my first clues. But anyways, he passed away that night. And that began a journey for me of curiosity, because at that point, I still had the same beliefs I always had. And now I'm in a situation where I'm starting to have experiences like I'm sad that he's passed and I'm crying, and I feel like I can feel his presence like in the room with me. And I almost felt like I could feel him hugging me when I was crying. And I thought, what is going on? It was just, I couldn't shake that feeling. And my nephew was living with me at the time, and I had my back to the stairs, and he was sitting across the table from me, and he was looking behind me, or he was looking at me, and then he was just like, and he looked around, and I was like, what are you looking at? He was like, nothing. Later, he said, remember when I was looking, something caught my eye? And I said, yeah. And he's like, there was a man, he had not met him. And he described what he looked like, and he was standing on the stairs behind you. And I was like, what? And so that definitely piqued my curiosity. And I was just kind of got a little rush through me, like, okay, like that's not something that my nephew and I had really talked about having a belief around. So it was just kind of this weird thing. So I was like, maybe I am experiencing feeling him nearby. And so that opened me up to, like, I started noticing signs and things happening that I was like, that's totally him. And he's, showing me things like that are obvious that it's him. And I just still felt very guided by him somehow, just like I had this knowing in my heart. And, anyways, I feel very blessed by that friendship, and I know that he served a role of opening that door. So fast forward even further, and I've met my husband, and we get married. We go on our honeymoon. So this is years later, and we go on our honeymoon. And in the meantime, I've picked up a couple books because I'm like, I feel like other stuff is starting to happen. I'm just noticing little things and some awareness of things happening, and like maybe a door, I swore I closed it, now it's open. I don't know, just little things where I just feel like there was somebody near me when I was laying in bed, and it freaked me out. So I'd whip out my Bible, read scripture, pray. Usually felt just fine at that point, but it just started to keep me awake like every night. And I was like, what is happening? So curiosity got me, and I had told my friend what I was experiencing, and she said, if this was any other topic that you were curious about, parenting or cooking, anything that you were having experiences and you wanted to know more about it, what would you do? And I was like, well, I'd go find books and read. And she's like, then do it. Just, why are you waiting? So I was so worried that if I got caught holding a book with a title on it that had something to do with, I didn't even know what to look up, like spirituality or ghosts, or I didn't know what was happening. I was worried people were going to think I was cuckoo. And so I actually downloaded the Kindle app for this, and I started trying to search for books about people passing away and coming through and souls that have passed. And I found some books to start reading on my phone so that nobody could see that I was reading these weird books. And I stayed open. So I started to think, okay, that sounds kind of like what I'm experiencing. And there wasn't actually a ton of books on my Kindle at that time, but I definitely got confirmation of what I was experiencing. So what I did next was we went back to the honeymoon, and we went down to Mexico to Chichen Itza. And that's where there's the big pyramid that you see really often on movies, and when you see stuff about the pyramids in Mexico, that's one of the more well-known pyramids. And we went on a group tour, and we had a tour guide. He was Mayan. He was probably like 4'9", 4'10" at most. And he was very passionate. And he got out. And when we walked out there, I just started to feel really emotional. And I was like, why am I feeling like almost choked up? But I don't know. I just was feeling really emotional. Maybe I was just so excited to be traveling and seeing some history because I love it so much. But anyways, so fast forward to, he walks us over to this ball court where he shared their beliefs about God that they knew and like what their beliefs were. And while we were standing there, it was like, wait, so this is before anybody had come into that area from outside that we know of. And they had their own spiritual beliefs and their own God that they believed in that was responsible for creation. And it was, not knowing all the details, I just remember feeling like this little crack in my mind of like, what makes what I was told in my little home, in my little state, in my country, the one correct belief or truth about God and religion and heaven and hell and what's going on with our souls. And I just thought, like, if God is love and that's true, then why would, if you haven't met somebody that came and introduced you to Christianity and God loves you, why would he condemn you? So I just started to like go on this journey of questioning, like, what this is making me question a lot. Anyways, so fast forward again, he takes us around the corner and he's like, we're going to approach the pyramid. Some of you are going to have a neat experience. You're going to receive a gift today. And I was like, what is that? And he said, you're going to receive the gift of your third eye opening. And I was like, what is that? Like, okay. And I just kind of got this sensation through my body, like I felt like he was talking to me specifically. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So we walked over there and he did the thing where they clap and it makes like a hawkish noise. I don't know how to describe it. Anyways, there's a noise and I could feel this vibration on my chest and I got emotional again. I was like, I don't know what that all means, but that was really a cool experience. Fast forward again. So we got home. I started reading more about, I was like, what is a third eye? So I'm like, just looking online. So I think the thing that helped me with this journey and experience I've had was just that I was curious and trying to no longer be judgmental of things based on what I was taught and raised. Not that I don't highly value and appreciate that. But I do think that it was helpful to have this experience in travel. I feel like travel really opens your mind to other ways of thinking. And I hadn't really been able to travel abroad at that point. So this was my first trip out. And so it was just a real awakening for me. And so I would say that once I got home from that and I really started to give myself permission to get further into this and actually talk to people that I knew and ask around if anyone knew people having some of the experiences I was. And that felt very scary and vulnerable to do. But this is an important part of the story is like, it can feel really scary. And there are people that might look at you like you're crazy if you're veering from the beliefs that you and they have shared your whole lives. And so it can take courage to get curious and just be willing to question what you've been taught. And is it what aligns with your beliefs and what feels right in your heart? And I will just say this, and I'll say it over and over again here. I believe we come here as love, to be love, to learn to love ourselves, to learn to give love to others. Like, love is like the magic word. It's like all of it. God is love. So love's the main theme here, but joy is also part of our experience here. So when I talk about getting started on your journey here, I wanted to share this story of my friend passing away, kind of cracking that open, and then the honeymoon, like also, and then it gave me the courage to reach out and ask questions about, to people I knew. And then it seemed like things started to come together more. And I found that there were other people that were like-minded. And I feel like it was close to around this time podcasts started to be more popular and have more variety. And so I delved into more podcasts and starting to find it. I feel like it's only been in the last year or two that's really exploded into having lots of resources. And I love that. I spend a lot of time just listening to other people's points of view and feeling inspired and sometimes questioning and going, maybe that doesn't feel quite right for me. But learning that doesn't mean anything. If it feels okay for them, that's their quest, that's their journey, and that I can be good with that because I'm on my own path of finding my own love and joy and peace inside too, and what's right for me. So that has taken me through a whole long journey where I have learned to embrace that the spiritual side of us is very much a huge piece of our journey. And also, having to learn to listen to my inner child. Like, there's so much that I want to share, and I'm excited to share on this podcast. But today I just wanted to kind of start by sharing the story of kind of like how things started for me, how the egg got cracked open, how I started asking questions. And that I think the success I have found has been tied to my ability to be curious and also maybe resourceful for looking for answers. It's also been a journey of trying to find the courage to speak up and ask about. So feels a little crazy that I'm actually putting myself out there about this now. So anyways, next, I would like to tell you that I would like to invite you to consider buying a journal if you don't have one. And a lot of people, I think, find a lot of resistance with the word journaling. So I want you to set that aside and not think of yourself as journaling today. I want you to go and find a notebook, and I would like you to not just buy any notebook. I want you to buy a notebook that when you look at it, it brings you pleasure. Is it your favorite color? Does it have a different texture on the cover of it? Does it have the size of lines you like? Does it have the binding that you like? A ring, 3-ring binder, metal? Do you like it bound like a book? And then find a pen that you like. That's not just any old pen. It feels good to write. And I actually will admit that I like to find my notebooks in the girls' school supply section, and I buy them there because they're usually like purple and blue and pink, and they have sparkles and way cooler colors, and sometimes there's sparkles on them, and they have some of that for adults, but I have found my success in finding journals that bring me joy in that department. So when school supplies come out, I'm totally looking over there for notebooks. So I would ask you to go and purchase a notebook, not for the point of journaling, but because what I want you to do is think of this as your own quest, your own journey to figure out how to find joy in your life and get empowered to live a life that you really love and means connection to you. And so in this book, just to start, you're not sitting down and journaling 2 minutes a day. We're starting even more basic. This book is, think of it almost like if you're a detective and you were writing down clues while you're just, researching or trying to discover things. So it's a book that you want to keep nearby so that like maybe you're driving and something really neat happens that feels like a coincidence or a God incidence or synchronicity. Writing it down, noticing it, and getting curious. So if you think of questions, you've listened to this and you think, what about this? Or did I have something like that happen to me where I felt like someone maybe visited me? Writing them down puts power to them. And our words are energy and vibration. And so it's powerful to write it down. So I don't want you to think of journaling yet. What I want you to do to start is just think of yourself as writing clues, aha, signs, questions about going on your own journey where we're going to rediscover your joy and get you empowered to live this awesome life that we chose to come here and live. So getting that journal to start. And then after that, I want to offer that you can, so that journal is going to be where you document your own journey or quest to live a life that's powered by joy. And if you want to connect with me, you can directly email me. And my email address is erica@poweredbyjoypodcast.com. And I will have that in the show notes below. I also have Instagram, and that is Powered by Joy Podcast. And so you can follow me on there for posts. And I'll be sharing things that bring me joy to begin. And also, I would love it if you would subscribe, rate, and review, or leave us any comments or questions that you might have. If you don't want to email those to me. And like I said, I will have my contact information in the show notes below. And I would love it if you would join me each week for my podcast episodes here, where sometimes it'll be just like today, where it's solo and I'm just talking from my heart. And then there will be times where I'm going to interview people that I feel are living a life that's intentionally led with joy and love. And I'm also going to do some guided meditations that have been requested as well for people when they're going on this journey or quest. So thank you so much for joining me on my first episode, and I am looking forward to seeing you again soon.